The human visitor on the quiet planet of Ravaged, the skies were always dark purple, and the trees glowed a soft blue at night. The air was calm and the people were peaceful. They lived in small wooden homes, far from machines and wars. In one such village lived an alien widow named Vilara. She had deep green eyes and long silver hair that flowed like water. She had lost her husband in the war between humans and Ravixians many years ago. Since then, she lived alone with her little daughter Luni. Vilara loved her daughter more than anything. Every night, she told Luni stories of the stars, warning her of the creatures called humans, beings who came from a faraway blue planet and ate meat. To Ravixians who only ate fruits and energy stones, humans were monsters. Never go near a human, Vilara always said. They don't care for our ways, they destroy. But Luni, with her wide eyes and curious heart, always asked, "Are all humans bad, Mother?" Vilara would go silent out one morning. The sky broke open with a loud sound, boom. A fire trail streaked across the sky and crashed behind the tall glowing trees. The ground shook. Birds flew in fear. The villagers came, running out of their homes. "It's a starfall," one shouted. "No," said another, pointing at the smoke. "It's a machine, a human machine." Panic spread. The village elder ordered, "Stay away. Humans are dangerous." But Vilara was not like others. Her heart pulled her toward the crash. Something inside her whispered, "Go." She told Luni to stay hidden inside, then quietly walked into the forest. The trees were quiet. Smoke rose from behind a hill. Vilara's heart beat fast, but her steps did not stop. Behind the rocks, she saw it, a small human spaceship, broken and burning. And near it, lying on the ground, was a human man. He was bleeding, weak and unconscious. Vilara froze. She had seen pictures of humans before, but never one so close. He looked strong, dangerous, but also helpless. She took a deep breath. Her tribe would leave him to die. But something told her he was not like the others. Vilara slowly moved closer, her hands shaking. She checked his chest. He was alive. I should leave, she whispered to herself. But instead she tore part of her robe and tied his wound. She pulled his body onto a leaf cart and began dragging him toward her home, hiding from the eyes of the village. That night, the wind howled as Vilara hid the human in a small storage hut behind her house. She gave him herbs and warm leaves. Her hands shook as she touched him. She watched his face. His jaw was sharp, his skin pale. A strange metal tag was around his neck. It said, "Grant" in human letters. Suddenly, a soft voice broke the silence. "Mother?" It was Luni, peeking into the hut. Vilara quickly turned. "Go inside, Luni." "But is that a human?" Vilara did not answer. Luni looked at the man with wide eyes. He looks tired. "He is dangerous," Vilara said. "We must be careful." "But you helped him," Luni said, "so he can't be all bad." Vilara stared at her daughter's innocent face. She sighed. "Go to bed. Say nothing." Hours passed. The night grew cold. Vilara sat quietly, watching the human. She kept a sharp bone knife near her, just in case. Then, slowly, the human's eyes opened. Vilara jumped back. He blinked, confused. His lips moved. "Where?" he said in a low voice. "Where is the one who saved me?" Vilara didn't reply. Grant looked around weak. "You? Help me?" Still no answer. He gave a faint smile. "You shouldn't have. I'm one of the bad ones, remember?" Vilara's hand tightened on the knife. "You are hurt," she said softly. "Don't talk," he chuckled. "I thought aliens didn't save monsters like me." Vilara's eyes narrowed. "I don't know why I saved you either." They stared at each other in silence. Two enemies. Alone, under the same roof. Outside, the wind blew harder, as if the planet itself knew something strange had begun. A new story was starting, one that would change everything for both of them. The wind was silent, but the stars above were whispering. On planet Ravaged, night didn't end with sunrise, it faded slowly, like a dream refusing to die. Inside a small wooden hut, a strange silence sat between two creatures from different worlds. The human Grant opened his eyes again. This time, he was alone. The herbs had stopped his bleeding, and the warmth of alien leaves kept him alive. His fingers touched his side, bandaged. Strange smell. Not human, not home. He sat up slowly, groaning. His body ached. But his mind was sharper than ever. His eyes scanned the room. Walls made of bark, tools made of bones. And in the corner, his tech device was missing. Grant cursed under his breath. She took it. In the other room, Valara stood by the fire. She held a small, glowing cube, the human's device. It pulsed softly, like it was alive. She had no idea what it did. A weapon? A tracker? A lie? Looney sat nearby, holding her wooden doll. "Mother, is he still sleeping?" Valara didn't answer. She was staring at the cube. "Mother?" "He is awake now," Valara said. "He is pretending to rest." "How do you know?" "Because I was once a soldier's wife," she said quietly. "And soldiers never sleep fully. Not even when dying." Back in the hut, Grant stood slowly. He found a stick and limped toward the door. He pushed it open. Sunlight, soft and golden, fell on his face. His eyes adjusted to the strange beauty of Ravaged, and standing there, waiting for him, was Valara. She held the glowing cube in her hand. "You dropped this," she said flatly. Grant's face didn't move. "You looked inside?" "I tried." "It hummed. I think it spoke to someone." Grant's jaw tightened. "It's nothing." "Then you won't mind if I keep it," Valara said, slipping it into her robe. Grant smiled, but his eyes didn. Single quotes T. Later that day, whispers filled the village. "Valara is hiding something. She walks alone too often. Didn't the light fall near her home?" A group of elders called a meeting. "We must search all homes," one said, but the village elder raised a hand. "Not yet. Let us watch. If it is a human, he cannot stay hidden forever." That evening, Valara brought water to Grant. He took it, drank deeply, then looked up. "You don't trust me." "I don't," Valara said, "but you helped me." "I didn't say I was wise," she replied. Grant laughed. "Fair enough." There was a pause. Then Grant said, "I came here alone. My ship was shot by my own people. I refused to give them Ravaged's location. I didn't want another war." Valara narrowed her eyes. "So you're a traitor?" "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe I'm tired of being a tool." Valara studied him. "You're a meat eater. A killer. But you speak gently." Grant looked at her daughter through the window. "Is she afraid of me?" Valara said nothing. "She shouldn't be," Grant said softly. "I have no fight left in me." That night, Looney crept to the hut with food in her hands. She offered it to Grant. He smiled kindly. "You shouldn't be here alone." "You look sad," Looney said. Grant blinked. "Do I?" "Yes," she said. "Sad like the moon when it hides," he chuckled. "What a strange little poet you are." Looney sat beside him. "Mother says you're dangerous, but I don't believe her." Grant looked away. "She's probably right." "No," Looney said. "You have kind eyes. My father had eyes like that." Grant turned. "Your father? What happened to him?" Looney lowered her head. "He went to fight, never came back. Mother stopped singing after that." Valara watched from the shadows, heart heavy. She saw her daughter smile beside a human, the same kind of being who had taken her husband, but she also saw something else. Her daughter had not smiled like that in years. Back in the village, 2 ravaged hunters followed footprints near Valara's hut. One of them picked up a broken metal piece. It's human. We must report this. No, said the other. Let's watch a little longer. If the human is here, we will catch him ourselves. Inside the hut, Grant stared at the stars from the small window. He whispered, if they find me, they'll kill me. Behind him, Valara's voice came cold and calm. Only if I let them. Grant turned. And will you? Valara looked into his eyes. I don't know yet. Flashback Earth, 6 months AGO smoke filled the command room on Earth's military base. Sirens flashed red. Screens showed maps of ravaged, glowing green forests, mineral zones, life forms. A tall general slammed his hand on the table. Grant. Riker, you are our best scout. You've lived among aliens before. Now we need you to map ravaged and find out how to take it. Grant stood straight, eyes calm. They don't want war. They live simple, peaceful lives. They have what we want, the general snapped. Energy crystals, soil tech, resources. We need that world. Grant's voice stayed level. Then send someone else. The general leaned forward. You're going, or we'll send a bomb instead. Present DAY Araviax on the quiet planet. Grant woke up sweating. The dream felt too real. The memory too fresh. He looked at his arm. A small scar hit a tracking chip. Still working, still waiting to be found. He stepped outside. The blue trees shimmered in early light. Birds chirped softly. Valara stood near the stream, filling water pots. Her silver hair caught the sun. She glanced at him. Bad dream? Grant nodded slowly. I had one too, she said. In mine, I trusted someone, and they destroyed everything. He didn't answer, but in his pocket, his fingers touched a tiny switch on the back of his neck, the place where the chip was. Still. Active. Still betraying him. That afternoon, Grant helped Looney fix a broken wooden fence. He taught her how to tie human-style knots. You're strong, she said. You're smarter, he replied. Looney smiled. You're funny. I like that. Grant's eyes softened. No one said that to me in years. From a distance, Valara watched. Her heart was torn. She saw a father in him, but she also saw danger. Later, as the sun set, she walked to him alone. Why are you really here, Grant? He didn't look at her. Because I crashed. That's not the full truth, Valara said coldly. We're silent. I found a mark behind your neck. A chip, she said. I know what that is, Grant sighed. Then you know I didn't choose to come here. I was sent to scan your planet, to find weaknesses, to make a report. Valara stepped back, but he said quickly, I disabled the mission. I never sent the full data. Why not? He looked her in the eyes. Because of your daughter. Because of you. Because I saw a life here that I never had back home. Valara stared at him, torn between anger and confusion. You lied. I survived, he said. I broke the mission when I crashed. But the chip, they might still come. And if they do, they'll bring soldiers. Meanwhile, village OTSKRT's 2 ravaged hunters stood near a tree where they saw smoke again last night. He is still here. We must act before others come. They returned to the village with a plan, a quiet capture, no trial. Back at Valara's HOME that night, Valara sat in the dark with Looney asleep beside her. She whispered, You care for her. I do, Grant replied. But if your people come, I'll stand in their way, he said, even if it kills me. Valara looked at him for a long time. Would you stay? She asked quietly. Not as a spy, but as something. More? Grant's eyes widened slightly. What are you saying? Valara didn't smile. If you ever wish to be more than a guest here, prove it. At midnight, while everyone slept, Grant walked into the forest. He took out a small tool and knelt by a rock. He began digging. Beneath it, his buried emergency beacon. He held it in his hands. One button, one signal, one way back home. He stared at it, then crushed it under a stone. Back in the village, the ravaged hunters reached Valara's home. One whispered, "Now." They crept toward the door, spears ready, but Looney woke up. She saw them through the window. "Mother, someone's here." Valara stood instantly. The door crashed open. "Step aside." The hunters shouted. They grabbed Grant. Valara shouted, "Stop, he's a human spy." One of them said, "He has no weapon." Valara said, "He has a mind." The other growled, "That's worse." Grant didn't fight. He looked at Valara one last time. "I didn't send the signal." He whispered. Valara watched as they dragged him away. She didn't stop them, but her hands were shaking, and in her heart, something had changed. They called it the Circle of Truth. It was not a prison. It was worse. In the center of the ravaged village stood a large glowing stone, blue like frozen fire, surrounded by 12 seated elders. The villagers stood in silence, their eyes filled with fear and curiosity. In the middle of the circle knelt Grant, wrists tied with energy ropes, head low, body bruised. Above him, the blue stone hummed. It was said to feel lies, to burn when. The soul of a traitor stood near, and standing across from him, dressed in black leaves and silver bone armor, was Valara. She did not look at him. The village elder rose. His voice echoed like thunder through the quiet air. "This creature, known as human, is accused of deception. He is said to be a scout, a messenger of war. He stands here by the will of the people." All eyes turned to Valara. "You, the elder said, you brought him here. You helped him live. You hid his presence. Now you must answer. Is he your enemy or your guest?" The crowd held its breath. Valara raised her eyes, cold, controlled, quiet fire in her gaze. She said one word, "Both." A wave of whispers broke out. Grant lifted his head, meeting her eyes for the first time. "Valara?" But she didn't move. Didn't flinch. She continued, "He came as a spy. But he stayed as something else. He gave my daughter safety. He gave me questions." "You defend him?" the elder asked. "No," Valara replied. "I judge him." She stepped closer to the circle. "Let him face the stone. Let the truth speak." The blue stone pulsed as Grant was pushed toward it. He placed one hand on the surface. Deep hum filled the air. Nothing happened at first. Then, the stone glowed softly, not violently, not angrily. It shimmered like water under moonlight. Gasps from the villagers. "He's not lying. He's not here to attack. He must have changed." But the elder frowned. "The stone speaks only of current truth. It does not forgive old sins." From the crowd, a voice rose. High, small, and shaking. It was Looney. She ran into the circle before anyone could stop her. "Stop hurting him." 2 guards stepped forward, but Valara raised her hand. "Let her speak." Looney turned to the crowd. "He saved my life. He made me laugh. He listens. I wish he was. I wish he was my father." Silence. Tears filled Valara's eyes, but she quickly looked away. Grant knelt quietly, eyes locked on. "Looney," the elder spoke again. "This is not a trial of feelings. This is about our future. If he stays, others may come. If he is weak, they will use him." Grant finally stood. "I destroyed the signal," he said. "The one that calls my people. I broke it with my own hands." Valara finally looked at him. He met her eyes and added, "I would rather die here than bring war to your world." The elder stared long, then said, "We will not kill you. but you are not one of us." He turned. "To Valara, he must leave, or stay under your protection as mate and guardian." Gasps again. Ravik's law was clear. A human could only live in the village if claimed through bond. As a family, Valara was silent. "Do you choose this burden?" the elder asked. Grant didn't speak. He only looked at her, waiting. Valara's lips trembled. "This is madness," a villager shouted. "You can't let him stay. She must reject him. She is shaming our kind." But Valara stepped forward. She stood beside Grant, took his hand, and said, "Then I choose the madness." The elder raised his staff, "So let it be recorded. From this day, the human is her bond, and her daughter is his child by law." A wave of murmurs passed through the crowd. Some turned away. Others looked in silence, not anger, not joy, just confusion. Change had come. That night, Valara sat with Grant and Looney near the fire. They ate quietly. "You didn't have to do that," Grant said. Valara smiled faintly. "I know." Looney leaned against him. "Does this mean you're really my father now?" Grant looked into her eyes. "It means I'm never leaving you again." Valara looked into the fire, whispering to herself, "I have made peace with the monster, because he gave me back my heart." It began with a seed, a small, glowing seed the color of a dying star, placed in Grant's hand at dawn. Around him, the villagers stood in silence. Even those who still hated him watched, not with kindness, but with curiosity. Today, he would begin the ceremony of roots, a sacred test for any outsider who dared to call a Ravik's child their own. If he succeeded, he would be known as a father. If he failed, he would be forgotten. Valara stood beside him, expression unreadable. Beside her, Looney held a handmade pouch filled with crushed moon petals, a gift for her future father if he passed. The village elder stepped forward. "Grant Riker, of the meat-eating race called human, you wish to adopt Looney, daughter of Valara, and become part of our bloodline." Grant nodded. "I do." "Then plant this seed, water it with your sweat, feed it with your fear, and protect it with your will. If it blooms before the 7th star sets, you may call her daughter." He handed Grant the seed. The crowd stepped back. The trials had begun. The first test was the stone heat. Grant was led to a pit of red-hot stones. He was told to cross barefoot, carrying a vessel of water. The path was long, and the vessel heavy. Raviks believed that only those willing to suffer could be trusted with a child's pain. As he stepped forward, fire bit into his skin. He stumbled. But he didn't fall. Looney watched from afar, clutching Valara's robe. "He's hurting," she whispered. Valara nodded. "He must. This is the way." Grant reached the end, feet burned, arms trembling, but the water vessel still full. He had passed the first test. The second trial came with nightfall, the whispering woods. He was told to stay overnight in the forest, where shadows moved and trees whispered old secrets. If he returned in the morning without speaking to the trees or breaking their silence, he would prove his strength of mind. Valara gave him no advice. Only Looney ran to him with a piece of lightstone. "To keep away the dark," she said. He smiled, took the stone, and vanished into the woods. Inside, the forest felt alive. The air pulsed. The trees whispered in voices not quite words. Grant sat still, breathing slowly, eyes closed. His memories began to speak. Voices of old commanders, gunshots, Earth's cold skies. But louder than all was Looney's voice in his heart. "Do not break. She believes in you." He stayed silent. By morning, the forest accepted him. He returned, with eyes heavy, but soul calm. The villagers could not hide their surprise. The final trial came with the sun's rise, the trial of shadows. He was taken to a sacred cave. Inside stood a large mirror made of obsidian. He was told to stand in front of it and say who he truly was. No titles, no lies. He entered alone. Inside, the mirror showed him not just his face, but every wrong he had done. He saw the man he once was, a soldier who burned villages, who obeyed orders, who wore death like armor. He stood there for a long time. Then, finally, he whispered, "I was a weapon. Now I want to be a home." The mirror cracked slightly, then went still. When he emerged, the elder looked into his eyes and asked, "What did you see?" Grant replied, "A stranger." And then, someone who might become more. The elder looked at Vialara. She nodded. Then, turning to Looney, he said, "Child of Ravaged, do you accept him as your protector and guide?" Looney ran forward and hugged Grant. "Yes, he is already mine." The elder raised both hands. Then, by the three trials, the stone, the forest, and the shadow, Grant Riker is now a father of Ravaged. The crowd did not cheer, but they did not protest. Some looked away. Some nodded softly. One by one, they began to accept. That night, a small celebration was held. Valara and Grant sat near the fire, Looney curled between them. "She gave me the pouch," Grant said, showing Valara the crushed moon petals. "She never gave those to anyone. Not even me," Valara replied with a small smile. He looked at her. "Thank you for letting me try." She answered with a whisper, "You didn't try. You became." But far above, in the stars, something cold and distant moved. A ship. Metal, black, human, and it had received a faint pulse from Ravaged days ago. The signal was broken, but not lost. Earth knew. And Earth was coming. Looney dreamed of fire, not the warm kind, not the fire of Ravaged's hearts. This fire was cold, silver, and endless. In her dream, the sky cracked open like glass and metal rain fell. The trees screamed. The birds turned to smoke. Her mother was calling her name, and her father, her new father, was walking away, swallowed by light. She woke up crying. Outside, the stars still shone, but one of them was moving. At the edge of the village, the sky began to flicker, faint at first, like a second moon being born. The village elder stood on the high ridge, his staff trembling. "It has returned," he whispered. Behind him, Valara approached. "What do you see?" The elder didn't answer for a moment. Then he turned to her, his eyes wet. "I see the past, and it's falling back to us." Across the forest, Grant sat alone with his hands in the soil. He was tending to the small plant, the one grown from the glowing seed in the ceremony of roots. It was blooming now, strong, colorful, alive, but his hands were shaking. He could feel it too, a pressure in the air, like the calm before an old storm. And then, a sound, a distant hum. Not of wings, not of Ravaged's wind. Engines, human engines. His past had found him. By midday, the sky above the mountains split with light. A beam from a human scout ship pierced through the clouds and stopped over the forest. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It simply hovered. Watching. The villagers gathered with spears and shields, though they knew they were useless against such a machine. Valara stood among them, calm but alert. Looney held Grant's hand. "Are they here for you?" she asked softly. Grant nodded. Double quotes, "Yes, but they don't know what I've become." Valara turned to him. "What will they do?" "Depends," he said, "on how afraid they are of change." By nightfall, the ship had landed, not in the village, but far enough to send a message. "We are here, but we don't trust you." From the vessel, 3 humans emerged, wearing gray suits with black visors. One of them raised a glowing staff, a scanner. Grant stepped forward, hands open. The leader spoke, voice cold, sharp, and robotic. "Grant Riker, You were ordered to return 6 months ago. You ignored command. You buried your beacon. You bonded with a native species. Explain. Grant stood tall. I refuse to help start a war. The voice replied, war is policy, not emotion. I found a child, a family, a reason to stop. You are infected by local logic. You are compromised. Valara stepped forward. He is ours now. The human turned to her. You speak like a pet who thinks it owns the hand. The crowd behind Valara growled. Weapons raised. Grant raised his hand. Don't. He looked back at the soldiers. Leave. There's nothing here for you. You have 2 choices, the voice replied. Return willingly, or we extract you. I'm not going. The visor dimmed slightly. Then we burn it all. Suddenly, a light flickered from the Ravaged elder's staff. He stepped forward. You threaten a world you don't understand, and that always ends badly. The human replied, understanding is not required. Obedience is. A tense silence followed, until Looney walked forward. She held the tiny plant, the one Grant had grown with pain and patience. She walked up to the human leader and held it out. This is my father's heart, she said. It lives now, just like me. The human didn't take it. He only stared at her. Grant stepped beside her. If you touch this world with violence, you will make an enemy out of the only human who ever tried to be more. The other 2 soldiers whispered to their leader. Then the visor turned off. Inside, a human face, young, unsure, not cold. He looked at Looney. He looked at the plant. He looked at Grant. Then he whispered, Earth has enough monsters. Maybe we should leave the good ones where they grow. He turned and walked back to the ship. No shot was fired. No order given. The vessel lifted quietly and disappeared into the clouds. That night, the village held no celebration. Only a quiet fire. Grant sat beside Valara and Looney, holding both of their hands. You should have gone with them, Valara said gently. I did, he replied. Long ago, but I didn't like the man I was then. And now? Now I'm part of something worth protecting. Valara looked at the stars. I never thought I'd love a man made of iron and fire. Grant smiled. I never thought I'd become a tree. They all laughed, softly, tired, together. And above them, for the first time in Ravaged's history, the sky felt still. Let me tell you a story, Looney said, her voice soft like the wind that danced through glowing trees. She sat on a low stone, surrounded by small Ravaged children. Some had silver hair like hers, some had human eyes. All of them listened. She was older now, no longer the shy girl hiding behind her mother. Her voice carried warmth and memory. She wore a pendant around her neck, shaped like a leaf and a star joined together. It begins with a war and a man who fell from the sky. Across the village, time had changed things. New homes were built. A garden grew where the old fire circle once stood. And in the center of that garden stood Grant, sleeves rolled up, soil on his hands. He worked beside Valara, now his mate in more than just name. Their bond was real, steady, and silent, like deep roots. Above them, the sky was peaceful. No ships. No weapons. Just birds and clouds. Looney continued. My father was not born here. He came from a world of machines and orders. He was trained to take what he saw, but this place, it changed him. A child raised a hand. Did he really fight the sky people? Looney smiled. He didn't fight them with weapons. He fought them with a choice. He chose to stay, to grow. And that is harder than any war. Inside their home, Grant lit a small lantern. It was the anniversary of the day of the circle, the day he was almost banished and instead was claimed. Placed a flower next to an old, broken human device. The same one he once used to scan Ravaged. Now it was just A memory. Vialara entered behind him, holding 2 warm leaf breads. You look tired, she said. I planted 20 new glowberry trees today. Valara sat beside him. You built something. Here, she said. Grant looked at her. We built it. Outside, Looney finished her story. And so? The monster didn't stay a monster. He became a father. And in doing that, he taught everyone, even the sky people, that there is more power in choosing peace than forcing it. A young child asked, Is he still here? Looney turned, pointing toward the garden. Yes, he still walks with bare feet, still burns his bread, still forgets to tie his boots. They all giggled. One of the smallest children asked, Was your mother afraid to love him? Looney looked at the sky, thoughtful. Maybe at first, but not in the end. Because sometimes peace looks like a stranger at your door, and love looks like the risk you take to let them in. Later that night, the village gathered, not for war, not for judgment, but for a naming ceremony, the first of its kind, for a child born of both ravaged and human. The infant had skin that glowed faintly in moonlight and eyes that reflected the stars. Grant held the baby in his arms and spoke the name aloud. Siren, it means quiet light. The people nodded. Some wept because they knew this child wasn't just a new life. She was a symbol of peace, of the bridge between worlds, of what could be chosen, instead of what was forced. As the fire burned low, Valara stood beside Grant. She leaned in close. You're not the man I found bleeding in the forest. No, he said. He died the day I buried the signal. And who are you now? Grant looked out over the village, children playing, elders laughing, humans trading with ravaged merchants. I'm not sure, but I'm finally proud to find out. Valara took his hand, and under the stars, she whispered the final truth. The one she had carried in silence for years. I was only happy when the monster became my family.